am so tired today. I swear I'm just tired every morning. I'm just officially like permanently tired forever. But good morning. Happy holidays. Today is my last day streaming What before the holiday season is going to be over, and then we'll be trying to do all the New Year's stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be having Sherry on at some point today. Not sure when she's going to be coming on, but it's going to be pretty much just a chill out stream today for the 2 hours. Not too much going on. I don't really have too many actual news stories that are going on. So hopefully Sherry will come and we could start talking about what she wanted to talk about in here. And then I got a couple of little like holiday surprises for her. So we'll see how it goes. Hope everybody is doing good. I'm doing all right. Just relaxing, enjoying, the last couple of days, not too relaxing, getting some cleaning done, doing some work and stuff like that before the New Year's for here at KRTD. Like yesterday, I spent pretty much most of the day adding every single video that we did in every single video that we've made on YouTube on KRTD. I've put them all into playlists. So every video that KRTD has made now is in a playlist in YouTube that you can watch. So if you ever want to know where like an old KRTD chat interview is from like 2 years ago, you just go into KRTD chat now and it's there. So I finished that last night. I'm very proud of myself. I playlisted over 1,000 videos. You get like if you ever have like ADHD or like you get into the zone of things and you just start doing things on repeat over and over and over again. I just like for over 1,000 videos yesterday. I was just like on repeat. So it's nuts. I know I think it's because I might have started or set out the stream too late this morning, and plus normally people are used to me starting at like 10 a.m. And I think I'm enjoying this 11 a.m. thing a little bit more. So we got to get them back used to the regular time again. Yes, Sherry. Okay, good. You're going to be here soon. Okay. I got a couple of surprises for her. So yay. While we're waiting, though, I do want to show off this. I figured we'd just have this little video going on throughout the stream today because I think it's so freaking neat that we can watch different Christmases or different like holidays around the world. I thought this was really neat. So we'll probably just have that sitting in the background or maybe pop up every once in a while. It looks like it's in Slovenia right now. So it's like webcams of different places all over the world that are celebrating their holidays. So there's Ontario, there's Canada. Doesn't look very festive, but they got the snow, so that's all that really matters for sure. But it's got a Christmas countdown. It's got all these different places. I think they had Finland in there earlier. There was Spain. There was all kinds of all over the world. It's like there's Washington right there. It's so pretty. They got so much snow right now. All of the snow that we had here, it just went away. But I heard this week we're going to be having a lot of snow this coming up week. So yeah, I decided I'd have this on in the background in a little bit, just kind of checking out all the different holidays today, or not holidays, but like, wintry, holiday-y areas and all over the places. So we'll see how it goes. Yes, happy Festivus. Don't forget today, you guys, like, I think it was only going to be like a couple hours after I get off my stream today. So I'll be getting off at 1. So at like, I know it's 5 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. Eastern is when the Festivus is going to be. So you guys got to go check out Extra Boya's, Warren's YouTube channel. Yeah, 8 p.m. Oh, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Good Lord. There we go. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm still half asleep. I think I overslept a little bit today, but I needed it. Anyway, Yeah, so go check that out. Remember to put the click the notify bell or hit the notify me button on there so that way you guys don't miss it. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a bunch of people coming in and out. It's just going to be a panel conversation. I'll probably just sit in the background and smile and enjoy everybody hanging out and having a good time. So, yeah, definitely want to check out the Festivus tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be the air of grievances. I don't know how we're going to do the rumbling thing at the end, the fighting thing, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Maybe we can like pick a number between 1 and 10. I know that Warren has a bunch of really cool, awesome surprises ready to go. So I cannot wait to see what is going to happen. What he's got for all of you guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm trying to figure out like I know it's last minute and it's like already like a few hours until Festivus, but I've seriously been racking my brain on what to do on like, oh, maybe I can edit a video or something as a gift for Warren. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a present for Warren. And it's the fucking hardest thing ever. And I don't want it to look like, hey, look, it's just because we're friends is the only reason why I made this video. Like, I want to get him a gift, but I haven't figured out what it is. Oh, there's John. Okay. Cold as hell in Chi. Oh, really? Chicago's really bad right now? I bet. Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys are getting that cold front this weekend. Actually, isn't it supposed to be hitting like right now or last night or something like that? Yeah, I thought that's what was going on. I'm not sure. Anyway, good to see you, Brandy. I know. I have 3 hours, and you leave me alone. Oh, you're getting cold temperatures tonight. I hope you got a heater up in your house. That way you can hook yourself up. Look at there's Finland. Oh, look at how pretty Finland is. There's Slovenia again. It's nighttime over there right now. Like they're ready to party. They're all getting drunk right now. That's so cool. It's all like super. I just barely woke up like an hour ago, and these motherfuckers have been up all day and they're drinking and ready to go. There's Ontario. Say hi, Canada. You only take cash. Jesus, -10 and -20 mph winds. You almost got up to 10 degrees in Arkansas. Man, you guys are dealing with some goddamn cold. That is insane. Like, nuts insane. I feel so fucking like privileged in California. Like I was telling you yesterday, because like how it was really like a lot darker earlier. But then there was also like, okay, so I live up in the mountains, so it's way colder up here. Like we have to deal with snow and everything too. Like not as much as you guys out there, but we deal with snow too. But when you leave the house here, you leave in like 4 layers. At least I do, because I'm like a tiny little thing. So I got to leave in layers because I'm freezing, even from going from the front door to the fucking car and then in the car until it heats up. I'm just like, I'm going to die, you know? So I have to have like 4 layers on. But when you go down the mountain, down to the city in California, oh my fucking God, it's like 70 degrees out there. I'm like taking off layers. I'm like, fuck, I should have worn a t-shirt under all these sweat clothes. Oh, it's horrible. It's like, let me take off all these underpants under my jeans so because it's adding on to layer. Oh man, it's brutal. But we're definitely spoiled out here in California, especially down in the cities and stuff where it's not up in this. Oh, look, there it is. Okay, so in Finland, it says it's -13 degrees over there. I just saw that. That's nuts. But yeah, we're definitely privileged out here. I mean, we deal with the snow out here, like up here in the mountains, but down in the cities and like down in the flatlands of California, fucking spoiled. It's still summer down there. I went down there the other day to go Christmas shopping like 2 days in a row, and it's fucking summer down there. It's seriously fucking summer down there. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so spoiled. 48 degrees calm last night, and then wind gust 3 a.m., -10 blizzard 2 p.m., now -15 wind chills, roads are impassable. Damn, you just sat there and watched like from last night till this morning of it getting worse and worse and worse. Jeez. Where are you at, Yona? I want to look up maybe I can look up the news weather stuff for it. See, I was looking up cat cams this morning. They have a couple of cute like cat cams, but it's quiet in those rooms and those cats aren't doing anything, and I'm really sad about it. I want the kitties to do more. Let's see about Arkansas. Arkansas weather. Ooh, a Siberian cold front. Yeah. See Arctic blasts bringing dangerous temperatures. Oh, okay, West Virginia. Okay, let's check out West Virginia. Yeah, see here, it's all here it comes. Even the fucking graphic for this one says here it comes. That is nuts. Sherry's in here. Come on in, Sherry. About people's what is it called? They're like weather areas.
I'm married to a Midwesterner. When you're married to a Midwesterner, you learn a lot about weather.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm learning. It's crazy out there. It looks like there's bomb cyclones. Is that what was that what's happening over there? Is a bomb cyclone?
I don't know about that. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing yesterday. I thought I heard the word cyclone and I was like, as soon as I heard the word cyclone, I'm like, cyclone, cocaine, propane, crazy. It's a, a a System of a Down song, and so it totally just like all I heard was cyclone. So I think this is what's actually happening out there. Oh, this one's in Washington D.C. that they're getting the bomb cyclone. It says, oh no, it says East Coast is getting this bomb cyclone.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we are pretty far. I'm in the DC area. That's right now. Oh, I see. That's what it says about bomb cyclones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll keep the volume down so we can see, because it looks nuts. Have you ever heard of a bomb cyclone?
I never have. No.
I mean, what would a bomb cyclone be?
It's called falling temperatures. That's what it's called for
Let's
fall,
see.
Mike.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward, just because I'm one of those nerdy science types. It's been a cold fall, and I'll be interested to see how this fall ranks as far as cool falls in recent history. And winter is certainly going to start off the cold note, particularly as we get towards your Christmas and your Christmas Eve holidays. Yeah, this weekend is looking brutally more like midwinter, kind of depths of winter cold coming down. Some of the coldest air we could experience during the entirety of this winter is coming down for this Christmas holiday. Now, tomorrow, the official start again of winter just after 4 o'clock in the evening, and nothing too crazy. Winter temperatures will be here right now. DC 34, just about all of our suburbs down in the 20s already. Look north and west, Minneapolis sub-zero.
That's like freezing temperatures for like pretty much like the top half of the entire country.
Yeah. Okay, a bomb cyclone is a cyclone where the pressure, the low, it creates, there's a really low pressure that happens very fast, I guess. The pressure drops by at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but
yeah, Yona is saying a bomb cyclone is basically a dry hurricane rotating around a very low center of pressure with intense winds. So pretty much a dry land hurricane. Wow. He also said it's the coldest day in over 30 years. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 19 here in the DC area. Well, I'm actually in Virginia, but that's pretty low for this area.
Yeah, and look at how different, like I hate that you can't see my cursor over here, but I'm looking at the map right here that's doing it, and it's saying like, you see like down at the bottom 51, 45, 30s, got your 30s, 20s, 40s, but then like you just go one state up and you're in the negatives. That's a cold, really hard cold wall right there, going from, in the 30s, 40s to the negative 18s. That's a huge jump just in a small area. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems with climate change is that, it just totally screws up the weather. And so it messes up, these like the air patterns. And so we've had this before when I think, what did they call it? Arctic Express or something? I can't remember. But they're, basically like cold weather from the poles shifts down. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what this is, but we have had that kind of thing already because of climate change. So
Right. It's so funny to me because climate change is, it could be either way. Like it could get either really extremely hot during the summer and then really extremely cold during the winter. But it was always funny to me how the conservatives used to say, oh, there's no such thing as climate change because it's cold during the winter. It's only, it's supposed to be heating up. And it's like, that it reminds me of that commercial where it's like the lady's like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Right. Do you remember? Maybe you're too young to remember this, but Jim Imhoff, who was a senator at the time, I don't think he's a senator anymore. He brought a freaking snowball into that.
Right. I mean, I do have to give it to him. I mean, it was the Democrats' fault for calling it global warming, but that's, I guess you could also blame the Republicans and the conservatives for even thinking like global warming just means that it's heating up, So.
Well, and this wasn't really necessarily a party thing. It was originally, I think, called global warming by the science community. And, you're pretty young, so you probably were just a baby when the news first broke about the fact that climate change actually was a thing, was happening.
Yeah, my first experience of even hearing about climate change was when Al Gore was running for president, and I didn't even really understand what that was meaning. So
right, and we took it seriously at first because there were other environmental concerns that we took seriously, and we actually dealt with, like the ozone layer, but what happened with this one was basically the oil companies, they just decided that they were going to start fighting back, and they brought in, I guess, the same. I don't know if it's the same group or the same people, but they basically started using the tobacco industry's tactics of deny and avoid, and try to make people out to be liars. And and people fell for it.
Yep, and now we're here where we are.
Yep. 30 years later,
right?
People have said to me, "When's climate change going to kick in?" Where you been for the last 10 years?
It's in your face. Can't you see it? All right, we'll go back to over here because I love this. I love looking at all the different cities and towns and stuff. I think it's on a rotate though, like on a top 10, because I've seen Finland like 3 times now.
Oh, really?
And then there's Slovenia again. It's nighttime over there. That's so cool. They're ready to party right now. It's like Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because Slovenia is over in like over by Russia and yeah, all of that. So yeah, they're definitely ahead of us by hours. So it's their Christmas Eve night.
Yep.
That's so cool. There's Ontario again. Yeah, it's definitely on a loop. There's Washington. Washington is so pretty. I swear. That's kind of how I live right here. This is kind of like how my mountains are. It's like you go out. Yeah, you go out your front yard and there's just like mountains surrounding and just these windy road towns and stuff with no street lights. I love it so much. Okay, I know I'm getting off track. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about today?
Well, last week we were going to talk about inflation. We can talk some about that.
Okay.
I also wanted to talk about this book that I just got finished listening to, and it's really an amazing book. And I was thinking, KRTD, we should do some kind of a book show, some kind of book review kind of thing, because this
That would be fun.
was an amazing book. So, which, and then I thought we could just yak too.
Okay, good. Yeah, I got a couple of surprises other than, watching the cool little snowy places. I got like 100 and we don't have to do 150 of them, but I got 150 Christmas icebreaker questions and games for the holidays.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, I figure us and you and the audience, we can all do like cool little questions. They're fun questions like, have you ever regifted an item? Stuff like that.
No.
No, none of us have ever done that shit. My ass has been so poor when I was a teenager. I was like, what can I have that I haven't opened yet to give to my friends? So proud of my kid this year too. She like cleaned the house for like 2 months solid, made like $80 so she can get her friends some Christmas presents. I was so proud of her. I was like, you know what? Just because you did such a good job on, wanting to do this for your friends and getting the work done and all of that, I'm like, I'm just gonna match you on your $80. So she got $160 for her friends.
Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah, she was so excited. She cried. She was so stoked. She even has like a little boyfriend that she's had for a while too, and he keeps buying her Christmas presents all month long. He's been buying her Christmas presents, so we made sure we got her like a few things for him, So it's so cute, so adorable. So yeah, we have that. All right. So do you want me to pull up the link that you sent me the other day? Or
yeah. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
The daviddegraw.org.
Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was let's see. Oh wait, did I tell you? Maybe I didn't send you the link. Is there a way I can share my screen, or does that not work?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Down at the bottom, click present share screen.
Oh, okay.
And then you're gonna go over to the one that says Chrome tab.
Chrome
tab. See at the top it says entire screen, window, and then tab.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, go over to the tab because that's going to give you audio, and then you're going to click on whichever tab you want to share and then share it.
All right.
Make sure at the bottom it says share tab audio. Make sure that's clicked as well.
Okay. Let's see. Application window. I think I need. Yeah, it needs to be this one.
Good morning, Amber. I hope you have a good day at work. Yeah, Lana, that would be a lot of fun. Like, if we can get permission from the authors of the books to be able to do like a book reading of them, that would be a lot.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember a year ago, I think, who was it? I think Sam a year ago was wanting to read the what is it, the 12 deadly sins or whatever, or 7 deadly sins of MMT.
Oh yeah, one book. Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was wanting to read that, and then it just never got off the ground. And ever since then, I'm like, man, we should do stuff like that. Like, we know those people, like we don't know them, but they, like their acquaintances in the circles and stuff. And if we can get permission from like one of those higher ups, like Stephanie Kelton or all the rest of those names, I can't even think of the one rich guy's name either. If we can get permission from them and do like a read along or a read through on our channel, man, that could teach people MMT so fucking quick, especially with that new Stephanie Kelton book. Like, so many people I know got aha moments just from her book alone. And if we can get people to just listen to it, oh my God, that would be amazing. Amazing.
Okay, so I don't think I did this right. Because you can't see anything, can you?
Hold on, let me add it. No, nothing yet. Okay.
I
try to
do this right. What I need to do is I need to I was gonna do this try to do this in Google. I mean, yeah. Okay. I'm in Opera, which is part of the problem. So, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let me sign out real quick and go into Chrome. Into Chrome.
Okay, that works. Oh, Brandy, you sent some music today? Is it copyright free? Because I could definitely listen to it if it's copyright free, for sure. We just keep getting copyright strikes on musics, and it's Man, starting to feel like an ant with a under a magnifying glass every day. It's getting brutal. Yeah, Amber, there you go. Warren Mosler. Yeah, if we could get some of his books too, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Oh,
Okay,
good.
so
You
I'm gonna
got the whole
screen
day
out of
off,
this.
Amber. So, Amber, do you have like the week off, or do you have, what do you got? Like, do you get like the whole week off until next week, or just today off and then like the next couple days, and then you got to go back to work and then you get New Year's off, or are you working New Year's too? Because that's got to suck as well. They're local guys? Oh, okay. Let's see, because I saw it this morning and I got to listen to like a few seconds of it before I was like running around doing other things. Let me head up in here and check it out. Wait. Did you send it to me in Slack? You have to send it to me in Twitter, right? I thought I saw it in Twitter this morning. You just have today off, no rest for the wicked in the medical field. Oh, Facebook, that's what it was. Thank you, Brandy. Okay. Facebook messages. I thought it was Twitter. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I got like, I don't know, it looks like I got maybe like 10 seconds into it, maybe 20 seconds into it. I'm sorry for any of the loudness in the background. Oh, you're back, Sherry. Okay. Sorry for the loudness in the background, you guys. I'm sitting outside, We live in the mountains, is what people do. You're lucky there's no chainsaws.
No worries.
Okay. All right, here it is.
Okay. So, first I just wanted to show you there's this new study that came out by the Roosevelt Institute. This is the website. This is affiliated with the FDR library. So it's, affiliated with other Roosevelt things. And Joe Stiglitz, who is one of the best economists, probably, in my opinion, the best living economist. Uh, Although, other people will debate that. But I think he's a really great economist. He's a mainstream guy, but he's very open minded. And I suspect, I don't know if he's an MMTer, but he sure seems like he is open to at least some aspects of it. He won the fake Nobel Prize in economics, but he's not a like Chicago boy kind of thinker or anything. He really is like a good guy. He's somebody who he grew up in Gary, Indiana. And so, he knows what has happened to this country, and he cares about things. So he's the head economist for the Roosevelt Institute, and he and another person just came out with this report. And this report, okay, is called Causes and Responses to Today's Inflation. And really honestly, there's a lot that's not new in here. We've talked a lot about a lot of these things, KRTD has, with respect to these various discussions that we've had over the last few years. But I wanted to let people know about this report, and because it's actually really easy to read. I mean, not easy, but it's not like it's written more for the layperson than for the professional economist. And what he says is a lot of the same things we've been saying. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I thought I changed the. I thought that would give me the change the screen. I guess for.
If you want to pull up multiple windows, stop presenting and then
Okay.
represent share screen
Okay.
and then go to the window.
Okay. I see. All right. Okay, so he talks about the fact that we had this Russian invasion, and of course that created a lot of. I mean, that created a. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm trying to. Sorry, I got lost looking for you. There.
There we go.
I was just on this key takeaways screen and I couldn't see you. Okay.
No, that's good. Welcome to being a producer.
Anyway, yeah. So what? I mean, we had this. We had the invasion. We had the pandemic. All that kind of stuff. And so we had huge impacts on the supply chain. He refutes the idea, and he goes through it in the paper. He refutes the idea that it was just purely on the demand side and as a result of money, so-called printing, that kind of thing. And I just was listening to a discussion with Dean Baker and another economist, along with Joe Stiglitz, and they said at the Inflation Act that was passed a couple months back, that may have added a little bit to inflation, but they didn't seem to think it was a significant amount. It's really supply side shocks. And they go into a lot of the different factors. So it's really nice. It really goes into the different markets, and not all of them, but a lot of them. And one of the things that I find really interesting in this is that the labor supply has really shifted downwards. This is the thing. We have not everybody in the US is obviously able to work. So basically we have, when we talk about the labor supply, what we're talking about is people who are of working age and who are able to work. And so that's just that's not all of the economy. It's it's like more than half, but it's there's still a big chunk of the economy where people are younger or older. But the fact is, one wouldn't think that the share of working age population vary a huge amount over the years. But yet we used to have like 65% of the population considered in the workforce. Today it's 57%. That's really a big deal. And that really what that comes about because of we've had those deportations. We have a lot of people like me, boomers, who are retiring. We also had a lot of people who in the various the recessions and the pandemics and stuff got out of the labor force early because they many of them were not, it was not by choice, but once they're out, they're out. And but then as you know, what we've been talking about in the news, one of the things they've been talking about in the news is trying to find workers. And so a lot of people have actually opted out of the workforce. And the Pew Charitable Trust did a study recently, and they said that of the people that have dropped out who are working age, they cited the reasons for them dropping out are low pay, lack of respect, and lack of opportunities for advancement.
So I was going to ask you too, like, does like cultural trends affect that kind of thing too, because there's been probably within the last, I'd say 6 or 7 months, or maybe a little bit longer, there's this really big trend, especially along the Gen Zers, called quiet quitting. And it's pretty much just them understanding their worth and only giving their job as much as they're getting paid.
Yeah. So, well, now those people, they would be considered in the workforce. So they're part of the 57%.
Okay.
But what they're doing is they're just, they're saying, my life isn't my job. As in the past, people kind of felt more pressured. And especially after with so much downsizing and everything like that, we've had so many years of people being let go, and then those who are behind, there's smaller workforces, they have more responsibilities, and so a lot of people are just saying, that's it, I'll do my job, but I'm not going to kill myself for it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And one of the things that's interesting about this discussion about the labor force is, there are, and he points out in this, I'm sorry, it's not just him. He's not the only person who wrote this article. I think he wrote it with a woman as well. But the authors of this publication, they said, when you think about it, we might think that the labor force is something that maybe you can't really do, like maybe it's just a demographic thing, but that's not actually the case. We actually can implement a lot of policies that would be able to bring people back into the workforce, like childcare. I think probably one of the things that happened is a lot of people no doubt found that certainly childcare was less available. And a lot of people had no choice but to quit their jobs.
Yep.
And take care of their kids. And when childcare, especially when you live in a city like in DC, it's really expensive, and it really gets to the point where it's not really worth it to work for some people. If you have 2 or 3 kids, that's a mortgage payment plus.
Right.
So there are things that we could do, and healthcare would be another one.
Yep.
There are policies that we could implement that would help bring people back into the workforce, and these are the kinds of things that MMT talks about. And even if I agree with the job guarantee, and I support that. But even if you don't have a job guarantee, there are other things that can be done. There are other social policies that we can pursue, and that could make a difference and help people get out to work,
Right.
who might want to.
Yep.
It's tough being. I know it's a tough thing being a stay-at-home mom.
Oh yeah, it is.
So anyway,
Sometimes I wish I could have a job just so I can get away from the family and kids sometimes. just so I can have a life outside of this house.
yeah.
I get it.
Yep. So yeah, it's tough sometimes when you have to just talk to little kids all the time.
Or cats and dogs. Absolutely. Like they actually have personalities now because I'm with them all the time. So I'm just like, that look, I know that look. Don't look at me like that. And it's a dog.
Yep. Yeah, they do definitely have personalities. They're quite funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and let's see. Another thing that they mention in the paper is that the support for fiscal policy. And, you've talked about this with MMT discussions, but let me just reiterate. Basically, with economic policy, domestic economic policy, there's 2 broad categories of it: monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy looks at, is like the money supply, interest rates, yada, yada, yada. And fiscal policy is the government actually spending money. They create programs. They
Subsidies and stuff.
they
Yeah.
they fund them. So that's it's government expenditures. It also includes taxes and stuff too, but it's the government spending versus the monetary side. And basically what has happened is, the early classical economists didn't really talk much about that kind of thing, but as economics became more and more formalized and neoclassical economics developed, basically the only kind of policies that were considered were more monetary, because we didn't really have the government involvement in the economy that much until the Great Depression. And then Keynes came along and he said, hey, we need to look at more than just monetary. We need to also, government can spend money and help take care of its parents parents. it's people. And sometimes
Goddamn government needs some parents.
yeah. And so and sometimes the government is the only entity that can do it. And so that was the beginning of fiscal policy. But of course, what happened was we had the neoclassical, we had the neoclassical reaction that happened in the 80s and beyond. And the intent really was to not have fiscal policy. The intent was to only have monetary policy. That is what Milton Friedman was pushing for. That's why he said inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. But that is absolutely not true. And this this what we've been experiencing over the last couple of years, mostly supply side, because we've had so many problems, people not working, and now climate change is actually factoring into this. So that's part of the reason why we have such high food prices. Not all of it, but part of it. And and then we had this this issue with energy and all that kind of stuff. Energy filters into all these various products, services that we consume, and all those things add up.
Yeah.
And it costs money. So one of the things that they mentioned, and I want to bring this up, and I think it's really important, they said wage price spiral inflation is not the issue. Now, I've talked about this before with talking about prices and inflation in labor. And in the 70s, we did have a situation where we had wages that were contributing to inflation. And that was because we had like 20% of the population that was in unions. So they had contracts, and they were building into their contracts cost of living increases. And so, it really was a self-reinforcing thing. And that was part of what made it really hard to deal with. But that's not what we're dealing with now. And so wages, labor, they're not really part. I mean, there's some increases in wages that has happened, but mostly on the for the lower skilled, on the lower skilled end, because those are the people that had to be paid extra to work so the rest of us could eat.
Right.
And so but for the most part, we don't have a systemic wage price spiral situation right now. And so and Joe Stiglitz makes that clear in this paper. So anyway, I would recommend that if anybody is, very interested in the inflation issue and interested enough that you want to actually do kind of a deep dive in it, I would highly recommend this paper. Again, it's Joe Stiglitz, and he had a co-author who was Ira Regmi or Ira Regmi. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm messing up that name. But it's out of the Roosevelt Institute. So highly recommend that.
All right.
Okay. So last week I was going to do a bunch of graphs, show you a bunch of stuff that's in the paper, but I don't think we really need that, especially right before Christmas.
Give us like at least one or two, like some like really shocking ones.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Now, I'd gone through a bunch of them, so I got to go back and remember what I...
All right.
Oh. Okay, there you go. I personally like graphs a lot.
Me too.
Not everybody cares for them. But, so this is basically showing what the inflation situation was over the last 2 years. And certainly we see that, we had a really big gap in prices. We had a really big jump in prices in, late 21 through 22. And what this shows is that this breaks out all items and then breaks out all items minus food and energy. And what it shows is that food and energy are some of the bigger drivers of this. And again, those are supply side. That's a supply side thing.
Okay.
I'm sorry to hope this is really interesting. This is again part of their discussion about let me make sure
this is actually a really good graph, because this is proof right here where when the politicians and the mainstream media and all that stuff, they're like, we're doing so much better than we ever have, we're at such a high percentage rate of employment and all this stuff. But you look at this right here, this graph, and it shows that we dropped so far below the medium line during the pandemic that we're not gaining more than what we used to have before pandemic. We're just trying to hit that medium point to where we were before the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. And this graph shows that, really consumption, we had this gigantic jump and then it rebounded a little bit, but it didn't go much over the trend, and then it stabilized.
That's because people are still out here suffering. Nobody ever got any kind of help. That $1,600 that we got for that whole 2 years was not enough to survive. And people had to literally chew off their left arm and their right leg just to even get some kind of like free unemployment or something like that, because they couldn't work anymore.
Right.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I know. It really was. I don't think most economists, even as caring ones as Joe Stiglitz, really quite understand how, how hard it is for people and for the hardest hit people. This is another good one. Again, it shows consumption never returned to trend after the Great Recession. And so we're talking 2008. We never really returned back from that.
I've been saying that for years, that we're still trying to struggle to get back to before 2008 as well. Because if you're a millennial, this is all you've lived. As long as you've been a grown-up, this is all you've dealt with.
Yep, exactly. And, unfortunately, certainly not everybody my age is unsympathetic, but a lot of people who are my age don't really understand how many things have changed from the time we were young. So college loans were not a burden we were young, and college costs were really low. I mean, nowadays, even just the textbooks are a fortune. So it, trying to improve your life is so much harder now than it used to be.
Yep.
Okay. So
That's why we need people like you, Sherry's, because we need people like you to understand.
This again shows what you were just talking about, Jimmy. Real government expenditures are not significantly above trend. In fact, they're below trend. Okay.
Wow. Right. But we just gave, Ukraine like billions of dollars though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that's that difference between what you were saying, monetary policy and fiscal policy too. So
yeah. And the thing about Ukraine is, what did we give them? We gave them money to buy weapons.
Yeah.
And the weapons, they don't produce anything. They destroy things.
Right.
While
they're going around saying peace, that's all we want is peace, and your success is our success, and we just want to live. Like, that's not going to help you live. Right. It's going to kill.
Right. Buying $45 billion in weapons or whatever it was.
Right.
All that does is contribute to the utter and complete destruction of your country, which you seem to be very determined to pursue.
Absolutely.
Okay. And all right. So, this also was interesting. This goes to show you some of the supply side aspect of it. Inventory accumulation. Look what happened to our various inventory. Now, this is a pretty general graph, and I think it's just in terms valued in dollars. But look at this. Right after the pandemic, look at what happened to inventories. Then we had a little bit of a recovery, then it crashed again. So when inventories are down like that, that is telling you that's a supply side issue.
Yeah, and that was the time where I think the first drop was when everything shut down, and probably that second drop was when we had those shipping container boats stuck in places that we couldn't move them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those are graphs that are literally showing you those exact times of, you just got to look at that month and the year of when those drops are, look in the news and figure out what was going on, and you'd find exactly probably those two things.
Yeah. And what this doesn't show is, it would be interesting to see a longer term graph of this, because this does not show how after the 1990s, when after the internet really took hold of the economy, it does not show how we had this total change in inventory approaches to inventory. So corporations now function more on a just-in-time, or they had been before the pandemic, using a more of a just-in-time inventory approach. So basically, they were, they just had their production set up so that, they didn't have a lot of money invested in inventory. They would just have everything brought in right away, which was fine when, transportation was working great and you weren't having big shocks to the economy. But when, but part of the supply problems that we have been having is because we went to a just-in-time inventory approach. And so, when they sell out of stuff, they sell out. And, when the ships are stuck out in the ocean,
nothing we can do.
That's right. So that's going to bring prices up.
Yep, absolutely. I love graphs. These are great.
I do too. Yeah. And look, investment in plants and equipment is below trend. Well, of course, we had a big drop in that in the 80s and 90s with outsourcing. But again, here we have in the in the year of the pandemic, just a massive change. So, all right. So let me see. What else? Oh, investment in residential investment. Wow.
It looks like there was
Go ahead.
absolutely no investment, and then all of a sudden, is this why there's a lack of housing? Because I remember I've been hearing over the last year or two, that there's companies outside of America that are buying up the homes here. Because I
Yeah,
personally know some Chinese that are moving out here in California. Just they're not even moving here; they're just buying the homes.
oh yeah, that has been going on for a while. This is what's one of the things to keep in mind is this graph is valued in dollars. So part of
Okay.
the reason we had this big explosion in recent months is because the price of residential,
Right.
material,
Okay.
the price of building material has gone up, a lot as a result of the pandemic. So we had really high increases in lumber, um, all kinds of appliances and stuff. My husband is in the remodeling industry, so
Okay.
I've been hearing about that.
That's
But but with regard to what you were talking about, what you were talking about is a longer term trend, but it's been going on. There's been a couple of real problematic things happening that have helped to drive up home prices, and that all subsequently causes rents to go up as well. And one of the things is, ever since the financial crisis of 2008, um, one of the things that has happened is that we have the rise of private equity, which has been happening since the 80s. But private equity discovered, oh, well, now, with this financial crisis that we're observing now in 2008, there's all these houses that are being foreclosed on, and we can just go in and buy blocks of houses at a time.
Yep.
And so private equity has gotten involved in the purchase of homes. And frankly, I think that's something that Congress could change. Congress
Yeah.
could just say, you can't buy private equity companies, these kinds of things. They can't buy residential properties. Because what this does is it not just raises the price, it also makes it, it makes it hard for people to buy homes. And then, that's a source of wealth. That's typically most people's their main source of wealth is their
Yep.
home. And so what they're doing is they're cutting off an opportunity for many people to accumulate wealth. Just even by living in it, but sometimes people will maybe buy a home, live in it for a while, move and rent it out. And they might accumulate some wealth that way as well. But it's a but what is now happening is we have private equity going in, but we also have, as you were saying, a lot of people from other countries. And this is not just happening here, this is happening all over. London is like just ridiculously expensive because because investors from abroad with a lot of money can come in and they can buy really expensive homes, really expensive condos. They don't ever have to live in them. They can just sit on them, because they might find that a safer way of protecting their money than maybe buying things in their home country, or maybe they have ideas of moving or kids going to college or whatever. Maybe they rent it out, and maybe they just let it sit there and accumulate money.
Yep.
Um,
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. So yeah. So we have these multiple forces that are hurting people, and there are things that can be done about it. And and they don't even necessarily have to involve economics,
Okay.
but they can have a major impact on the ability of people to just be able to afford homes to live in.
I agree.
Okay, so let me see. Aggregate demand, real GDP remains below trend. This is still just consistent with the other stuff that we were seeing.
Yep. Look at all these graphs. I love it.
All kinds of stuff. Oh, okay. And this one they were looking at did the fiscal support contribute to excess savings? I actually haven't read the whole paper, so I haven't really, like gotten into that one. But one of the things that has been claimed by people who want to make the claim that inflation is on the demand side is that people were, they didn't have to go to work, and they were able to, and they didn't have to spend money, so they could accumulate all this money over the course of the pandemic, and people got this extra $300 a month. So they have all kinds of money that they can spend now. And what this graph is showing is, well, there may have been some accumulation, but it's being drawn down. And this whole, this is really not a major source of demand. Okay. Personal savings rate. There you go. Ooh. It went down quite a bit.
Jeez.
Yep. And this is a good point. A lot of what we have been buying in the last couple of years, we always buy imports. We buy lots of imports, right? But what's happening is, what this shows is that the value of the imports has gone way, way up. So what they're basically saying is, part of the reason for the inflation is because we're buying goods from overseas that have risen in prices as well. And so we're importing a lot of the inflation, and that makes sense when you think about oil, so it's not to like blame people overseas saying, you're responsible for our inflation. That's not the thing. It's the fact is, prices are rising everywhere. And so when we buy products from other countries, when they're experiencing inflation, it affects us as well.
Okay. That's interesting. I never would have thought that.
Yeah. But, if you think about it, especially when it comes to like something like oil, and then of course the fertilizers, but it's more, much more than that.
Right.
Okay. Oh yeah. This was interesting because this talks about the product types, consumption expenditures by product types. One of the points that they made was that autos were a big factor in some of the inflation. Not all of it, but, we had a period of time when autos weren't, it was hard they weren't producing as many autos because of the chip issue. Right. Then in addition, another thing that happened was, during the pandemic, some of these auto, like car rental places, they got rid of their autos. They didn't need them, and then they needed them again when it and then of course people getting back to work and things like that. So automobile inflation, which is the orange line right in here, I guess you probably can't see my cursor, but the orange line right in the middle, that's showing that one of the drivers of inflation was automobiles. Another driver, which is in green, is in food service. Of course, that means it's because of food. And then gasoline was actually not as much as I would have thought it was, but
yeah.
Transportation services, which of course we know there have been some problems with. So.
Right. Yeah, I would have thought the gas prices would have been a lot higher.
Yeah, I would have thought so too. But oop. One thing is that when energy goes up, people do respond somewhat. So there's some give with energy, but oh, actually, this one shows. However, this one actually
Jeez.
shows.
Energy's off the hook right there. It's just
Yeah, in this one, yeah. So, because this one would not just be gasoline, it would be all kinds. Anyway, yeah, right.
That's nuts. All the other ones are kind of like pretty stable, except for the one red one, and then you got that green energy. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, and that red one is autos for a little while.
Okay. So, and that's showing from the previous graph that autos were definitely a part of the inflation problem
Yep.
at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So this is a great paper because it breaks this stuff out, and it's actually saying, okay, well, we're hearing that it's this, that, and the other thing. We say this is not a factor because, and then they show why,
Right.
and but they show what is a factor. And so anyway, non-fuel import prices, again showing that we're importing inflation even when it's not just fuel. So okay, let me see what else. What do we got here? Oh, this one I thought was really good. Then they get into what we've been talking about. The fact of the matter is that we have increasing concentration. And this graph is great because it shows from the 1950s, sometime in the 1950s, what aggregate markups were. So basically, you're talking, I'm not an accountant. An accountant would probably quibble with the, saying markups are roughly equivalent to profits, but I think you could basically think of them that way. So, and you can see that from the 60s through the 80s, there were markups, but nothing like there was from 1980 on.
Yeah. And it seems like what they do is they'll like mark it down right before they shoot it up really high, and then they just keep doing. That's why you see like it looks like just a lot of W's that get higher and higher and higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's so wrong that they do that to us.
And they have. There were even conference calls when businesses actually admitted like to their investors that prices are going up and we mark them up a little bit more because who's gonna notice?
Right.
And you can see
we fucking notice.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And so for all the people who want to tell you that monopolization doesn't really matter,
here it is.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, I want to see like with this graph, I would like to see right with it, like on top of it is the wages for people, and see how that's gone. Mm-hmm. That would be cool. From the 1955s to 2022, see people's like income and wages right along with that markup price.
I got some more stuff for you. I got some stuff outside of this. Okay, so then check this out. Blue is non-financial sector, and red and the pinkish, whatever it is, salmon really, is
profits.
All profits, including the financial sector.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Dodd-Frank didn't do a whole lot to help that, did it?
No, not at all. This corporate greed is just rampant.
Yeah.
It's like a virus that we can't control.
Now here he gets into the labor discussion a bit more. Wages and salaries for private workers. Okay, so this would be, you can. This one actually shows, and I was just listening to a talk with Joe Stiglitz and Dean Baker. Dean Baker's not an MMTer, but he's another more liberal economist. And he was talking in particular that this upward trend starting in like mid 2020, that of course tends to be more on that's reflective to a large degree of the fact that lower income workers actually did gain more with wages because they were out doing the jobs that nobody else wanted to do, and they were a lot of companies had to they paid them additional wages. Okay, I didn't lose you there, did I?
No.
Okay, all right,
I'm still here. It just sucks because it, like the other one where we're seeing those corporate profits, we're seeing it in the tens of thousands, but you look at that wages, and the wages right next to it probably would look pretty even and pretty nice, but that's only in point percentages, not thousands.
Like this is like through the January 2020, they're all like less than 1% growth.
Right.
So we're not talking huge percent growth. We're talking still under 2% growth.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, corporate profits are like in the hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands extras on that
millions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Average growth. Oh, that's just talking about the different sectors. The real wages. Okay, so here it shows that while wages have increased some, we basically we're not keeping up with inflation.
Is this in a 1 year period of this year? Or is it January 2019?
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Let me get out of this one.
19. Okay, so it says CPI inflation.
The blue starts January. So it starts in January 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's showing that
3-year thing, huh?
We went up right before January of 2020, but now we're back down to pre-pandemic levels, at least for real wages. But the CPI inflation has gone up,
right?
Like 20 cents.
Right. So what this is showing is that now the rate of growth of inflation has increased. Is now higher. This is weird because it has two axes. So there's an axis on the left that has the hourly rate of earnings. Okay. And that corresponds to the red graph.
Okay.
And then the axis on the right is in percentages. And so they're not the same axes, but they are trying to show really like the relationship. So it's not like they're not a side-by-side comparison, but it is showing you that inflation is increasing and overtaking any growth in income. And in fact, the growth in income has actually really slowed down in 2022, but inflation has exceeded. So they're not really comparing apples and oranges specifically, but it is helping you see that there was that what wage gains there are being eaten away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any kind of progress it looks like we made in the last couple of years with real wages just went right back down to pre-pandemic anyway. So it's not like it changed anything.
Right.
Man.
Right. And that's why when I was talking about a couple weeks ago, I think it was that I was talking about a couple weeks ago I was talking about Jay Powell's talk, and he was saying, well, if we can keep wages from growing no more than 2%. Well, first of all, one of the things that Stiglitz points out, and it's a very good point, where did this 2% come from? You know,
right.
Powell pulls this 2% number out of his hat, saying, like, deciding that inflation shouldn't be any greater than 2%. Well, you know, who said that was the rule?
Right.
You know, but his point was, let's not keep wages getting any higher than 2%. Well, but what about all the losses that labor has had in the many years prior to this? So
right.
that's kind of what I was griping about. Okay, so all right, unemployment rates are no, yeah, I'm not sure if that's helpful at this point. I mean, right now. This one shows that, yeah, there's increase in inflation, but it's happening everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We are hot. We are pretty high, but we're not the highest. But you know, actually, we are the highest in core inflation. Now,
Yeah.
let me talk about core inflation. Do you know what what core inflation is?
I do not.
Okay, this is what it is. Inflation. There's lots of different ways that you can measure it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, one thing that happened was, I guess there is, in some of the higher level economists, over the years, there was concern about measuring inflation and the impact that some commodities prices have on inflation. And some commodities tend to be more variable. I mean, there are some products, typically commodities, that tend to be more variable in prices than other products. And so and it tends to be like energy and food.
Yeah.
Okay. So those things. And so what it does is it kind of messes up the statistics. And, so people who work in this on a daily basis, they want to kind of avoid they sometimes they want to isolate the noise that comes about because of the food and energy. All right. So that's why they created this thing called core inflation. Core inflation is inflation of everything but food and energy. Okay. And that's okay. But, this is the thing. People need to keep in mind that you don't want to just know what the core inflation rate is, because your average person, food and energy matter. That's a big part of your budget, much bigger part of your budget than someone who's wealthy.
Yep.
And so core inflation is one thing, but what's more important to your average person is really the CPI as a whole.
Okay.
So anyway,
that makes sense.
And the point is, a lot of times in the news, they won't talk about anything but core inflation. So, don't be fooled by them saying, well, it's just core inflation is yada yada.
Okay.
What matters to you is everything. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
And really, core inflation is something that really used to not be talked about, like, say, 40 years ago. But, then they came up with it. And like I said, from a statistical perspective, and an analytical perspective for people who work in that, they had a good reason for taking, isolating it, but yet it can too easily be used to take advantage of people because they don't know what the difference is between core and regular inflation measures.
So, right. That makes sense.
Okay. Up here, this is another graph showing that, when we traded, we imported a lot of the inflation.
Of course.
Yep. What was this one? Oh, yeah. And this, of course, Black unemployment is twice what white unemployment is, unfortunately. But
of course.
Not a surprise. So they were looking at that as well. Okay, so that's pretty much, I think that pretty much takes care of the graphs in here. They're talking about, hey, we need to not just focus on monetary policy. We need to look at, fiscal policy as well.
Yep.
And keep in mind, let's see here. Let me see if there's anything here in the appendix that's helpful.
Now, Brandy says her husband's retirement has gone down too. Can you help explain that? Because I've tried to explain it the best way I can know how. And I don't seem like, because like I always tell people, like when it comes to understanding how the government and the monetary and fiscal and stuff works, is like all that money every year that your husband is putting into his retirement isn't going into this safe where it's being saved. It's just, adding itself to the taxes, which is then going to be deleted. And whatever that year the government decides that it wants to fund for people's retirements for that year, that then they divvy it out, and that's how much that person's going to get. So no matter how much you try to think you're paying into your retirement, it just depends on what the government has allotted the retirement funds for that year when you are retired is what you're going to get, right?
Well, it's kind of complicated. Do you mind if I go off on a diversion about retirement a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So back in the day, when there were lots of unions in the economy, we used to have what they called, this is good stuff for you to know, defined they call it? Defined benefits. Defined benefits. And so what that meant was, it meant that you were given basically like either an amount or a formula or something. And so your company, you get a pension. Okay. So, and the pension was something that, okay, the company had saved money, they put it aside, and then, they invested it, and, you retire, and then you get maybe like a salary that's, say, 3/4 of what your salary was in your job or whatever, right? And so, you kind of had a solid retirement, and it would, if you're lucky, it would go up with inflation and stuff like that. But nowadays, most retirements on the private end are not that way. Most of them are what they call defined contributions. So really what happened is, in the old days, you may have put some money, you may have made some contributions to your retirement, but it's basically the company funding your retirement. And then, but now the way it is we have defined benefits, which means the company puts a little money towards your retirement, and you put most of the money towards your retirement. And so when you get out, you don't have like a pension. You have like an annuity from the money that you saved. And maybe your company contributed some of it.
Right. But what if you only put in like, $22,000 within your lifetime in that company? You can't even live a year off of that. for retirement?
Well, usually what happens is, well, if you're working just for one company, by the time you retire, you've usually been working for different companies. And
Okay.
when you retire from, when you work for a private company and you change jobs, you can usually like take your retirement with. I mean, you don't have to, but you can take your retirement with you. Meaning, you just roll it over into another retirement fund, and so where you work under that kind of a situation, where you work doesn't really matter so much. It's more what matters is the amount of money that you've accumulated over your working life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your annuity is based on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the private aspect. Then there's Social Security, and Social Security is a payment from the government, and that's based on how much you earned. And for Social Security, you have to work at least, I think, 40 quarters, which is 10 years. You have to have 10 years of work in, and then, they have a formula and blah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Social Security comes from the government, and Social Security is basically a defined benefit. Okay, so you know what you're going to get. And there might be some increases over time as cost of living goes up, but it's basically fixed. But with an annuity, you don't really know how much you're going to get until you actually retire. And so if you don't have as much, your point about working life, if you can't work as long as other people, maybe because of an infirmity or whatever, you just choose to retire early, you may not have as much money accumulated. Now, the money that gets invested, the money that goes into those funds, it may go, typically they'll go into the stock market, but they may go into other things, like they may go into bonds. They may go into real estate investments and stuff like that. So when you determine, like for instance, when you start a job and you're going to retire and you're going to start saving money towards your retirement, you usually might have some options of where, maybe like what, say, mutual funds your retirement goes into or something like that. So you may have some say in the general types of things that your money goes into.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and typically you might be able to have some flexibility in, say, determining percentages. I want 15% to go to small cap, and I want 20% to go to international funds, and, the rest of it to go to, regular.
That's so confusing.
Yeah. So, and that's part of the problem too. That really is an important point, because this all is really confusing, and we put so much on the individual, and your average person doesn't know a lot of this stuff. It's really hard,
Yeah.
to figure it out.
I know.
So anyway.
So then how I was saying it was wrong then. So it's not you just put money in through taxes every year, it disappears in your taxes like normal fiscal spending. And then when it's time for you to retire, whatever the government is allotted for that fiscal spending year, it's not how much you get. You've actually put in that money to have a hold of it when you retire.
Well, the only thing that's coming from the government is Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not invested.
Okay.
That's just, right, just out of that. That's the money that's, basically being printed, right?
Right.
They made it out like there's a fund, but there really isn't.
Right. Right.
Okay. So, but the private aspect. So basically employers, many employers provide some kind of retirement benefit. And so the private aspect of it is what mainly that I've been talking about. So the
Okay.
private aspect, that's what goes, it doesn't go to the government. It's not a tax. It's basically a type of savings.
Okay.
The government does subsidize it, because if you put money into a retirement account, it lowers your taxable income. And so the government provides an incentive for you to save for retirement in
Okay.
that way. But keep in mind, the incentive only applies to you saving in a retirement account, that's been approved by the SEC.
That makes sense.
And so in other words, you can't put retirement money into subsidized retirement money into like a business. You have to basically put it in a financial institution. Yeah. And so
So ridiculous.
people don't realize what a great gift Congress gave to the financial industry by basically switching from a defined benefit to the defined contribution system. And this came about, it changed over from this. It started changing in the 1970s, because what happened was, in the 1970s, all these industries that had, car, steel, all the heavy industries that we have, they started seeing workers retire, because workers that came back from World War II, they were retiring, and then over time, and as they started seeing all these people retire, they started realizing, oh my God, we have these huge legacy costs, and so we got to pay all these retirees, and we got to pay their health insurance and all this kind of stuff. And so they basically were able to get Congress to shift away from the defined benefit to a defined contribution. And what this all does is it puts the risk on the individual. And so that's why we are more, in a more risky situation with respect to retirement, because we don't get a defined benefit. We get an annuity that we contributed to. And so our life circumstances determine how much we are able to put into it. And then, yeah, right. Brandy says when the stock market goes up and down, your retirement benefits will go up and down. Unless, I mean, you can get annuities that guarantee like maybe a certain level, a steady level or something like that. But you always pay for it,
Wow.
If you want guarantees, you're gonna pay.
Right.
So what you get is like a slightly lower annuity, that kind of thing. So yeah.
That's wild. You can actually see your retirement benefits in the stock market.
If they're invested in the stock market. They aren't.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have to be invested in the stock market, but they have to be financially approved for retirement investing. And so.
And that's why millennials and Gen Zers don't have any retirement funds. That's way too confusing. I'm getting $0 when I retire, so.
Well, you'll get Social Security.
Oh, okay, that's good. It's like $900 a month or something, right? Not too expensive.
It depends on how much you earn, but if you don't earn as much, you're not going to get as much.
I've never earned anything. All my life, I've been an independent contractor.
So then you don't get you don't have the 40
I don't
hours.
I don't get nothing.
Quarters.
Yeah, I will never get anything. I will be dead broke when I'm old. Which I'm not the only one. There's so many people like me. So many people like me.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, every person that I worked with that's an independent contractor is in my same situation. I think there was one lady that would put her monthly income into I think it was a life insurance policy. That was about it. That way her kids can get something if she dies, but she didn't plan on ever retiring. She was already in her 50s, still dancing on that pole. So
yeah. And and another thing is that were many thousands, probably millions of workers that had their retirements, their private retirements, just basically ripped off of them by private equity. Because, as we had discussed a while back, private equity, what they do is they come in and they buy a company and they saddle it with a bunch of debt. They basically they bought, this is so scummy. They buy a company, but they buy it using borrowed money, right?
Okay.
So in other words, they target a company that they think is going to be good, to attack. And they raise a bunch of money in the private equity world. So people in the private equity world will pick up some money. They may get a loan from a bank, but they basically, raise all this money. They go in and they buy out the company, right? And then they tell the company, oh, we had to borrow all this money to buy you out. So now you got to pay us back. And guess what else? You also have to pay us a great big fat fee for the honor of letting us buy you.
wow.
That's how Mitt Romney made his money. And that's how Blackstone, all private equity, when they buy companies, that's what they do. They don't all just buy companies, but when they buy companies, that's what they do.
Yep.
And typically what ends up happening is the company has to declare bankruptcy, right? So then the company goes bankrupt, and when it's in bankruptcy, then the federal government allows it to spend or to take the money, to use the money that was put aside for retirees. And so they take that money and it goes to the private equity. And so workers, the people who worked at those companies all those years, their retirement's basically stolen from them.
Wow. So yeah, you could spend all like 20 years saving up retirement in that company, and some other company buys them out and all your retirement's just gone forever.
Well,
that's nuts.
What I was talking about is for like the defined benefits.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about is, people under the old system, and there are still some. I mean, the federal government employees, we have somewhat, we have a kind of a mixed system. So we have an aspect of it that is a pension, but we also have the bulk of it is our savings, and then we also get Social Security. So
I'm thinking like assistant managers of like Singular, like old cell phone services that got bought out by other ones, and then they had to just crumble to pieces. Like anybody that was a manager at like a Singular store for 10 years putting in as a retirement's probably fucked, right?
Right.
Damn.
Yeah, like Toys R Us.
Yeah, or
Toys
like
R Us. That was
Macy's too, or something. What was the other one of those stores? JCPenney, I think. Kmart.
Sears.
Sears. Yeah.
What happened to Sears was just travesty.
Right. So that's the same situation, right? That would happen there too.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was even worse because the guy who bought Sears was a hedge fund manager, and he was like an Ayn Rand devotee. And so he basically he believed that the divisions within Sears should compete with each other. And so that's what he did. He had the divisions within Sears competing against each other. Can you imagine that? Yeah.
No. Why would they do?
It obviously didn't work.
No. So you're saying like the departments in Sears were competing, like perfume was competing with shoes section?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So
I mean,
weird.
because like to be like the most profitable one, part or stuff like that. Yeah, it's just it's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. this is what I mean by the mentality. You know, it's just insane.
Right.
And this has come about because of this belief in like how wonderful the market is. Yeah,
I agree, Brandy. Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say
I
our
agree.
economic system feels like the Hunger Games movies.
It really.
It's like last one standing that's the winner, and then the story
Yeah.
is written by the winner.
Yeah, yeah. It's sick.
Oh
It's really
wow,
sick. Yeah.
jeez.
So, well, let me tell you real quick. Oh my God, Sarah, Jimmy, I'm sorry, I'm taking up your whole time.
Oh, you're fine. That's what it's for.
Sorry again. So now let's talk about the book. Can we talk about the book? Or
Yes,
do you want,
please.
Do you want to talk any more about this?
Yes.
Or the inflation?
Let's keep going.
Huh?
Let's
Well, I
keep
think
going.
I think we've covered. I think we pretty much covered the
Okay.
that. So let's talk now about the book. And I do want to. Where are we at here? There. Okay. So the book is called American Midnight, and it is by Adam. I know I can't pronounce his name. Huck. It looks like Hochschild, but that's not the way it's pronounced. Hochschild or something. I don't know. Something. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, like host child.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. Were we showing my screen there?
It's still showing the graph one.
Okay. Oh, all right, let me do this.
There's a book review on New York Times about it.
Yeah. There it is. That's it. This is the book. American Midnight, The Great War, A Violent Peace and Democracy's Forgotten Crisis. And this is such an incredibly good book. Because what it does is it starts out, it's really about I'm sorry. There. It's really about the attack on the left and the attack on civil liberties that came about as a result of Woodrow Wilson getting us into the war. And so what happened was Woodrow Wilson, we talked about World War I before. Woodrow Wilson, basically, in the 1916 campaign, he said, he kept us out of war. But as soon as he got reelected, he knew he was going to take us into war. And so he basically, created these agencies of propaganda, to get people to, to be supportive of us going to war. And that was successful. And so Americans were very supportive of the war. We went into World War I, but there were a lot of people who were against the war. And so this is basically the story of the persecution of those people.
Oof.
And the effect, and it's not just the persecution of those people, but the effect that it had on the American society, and at the time and subsequently.
Right.
And so it really is an amazing book.
Which is kind of what we're dealing with now, except instead of, violently attacking us and putting us in jail, we're just being villainized.
It is unbelievable the parallels to now that this book has.
Right.
For instance, this was
Brandy.
Huh?
Brandy said, sounds familiar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It really, a lot of it is so incredibly familiar. Even the misinformation stuff, they were putting, they were like missing. There was this postmaster under Wilson who was just banning. Basically, what he was doing is he was evaluating what publications weren't supportive of the war, and he effectively had them banned because he wouldn't deliver those publications, and so it put him out of business. Some really good magazines out of business, and of course many of the left-wing publications.
Kind of like what the social media platforms are doing to us now.
Exactly. Yeah, because all they had then was the mail or flyers, and so what they basically did was they stopped freedom of speech by limiting what could go through the mail.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing now with social media platforms, is shadow banning and censorship and copyright strikes and all kinds of, especially shadow banning on like Twitter. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And this went on even after the war ended. And people who were conscientious objectors were arrested. They were tortured, basically. Some died. And some committed suicide, and they continued to serve their jail sentences after the war ended. Eugene Debs Wilson never released Eugene Debs, and he stayed in jail until into the Harding administration. Maybe it was Coolidge. No, I think it was Harding. So that would have been maybe 1922, something like that. Jeez. So it was just awful.
Yep.
Many people went to jail, including Emma Goldman. Then she was deported. And that was another thing. There was what had happened during the late 1800s and the early 1900s is we had a lot of immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe. And many of those people, especially the Eastern European people, many of them were socialists and were, actively involved with socialism. They came here and they basically pursued their interest in socialism. There was a lot of socialism in this country. Yeah, and this book actually, talks about it. There were a lot of socialists in this country, and as this book explains how they were basically destroyed by the Wilson administration and everything that came after it. One of the things that, and I think I talked about Palmer raids before. Did I? Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that came out of the Palmer raids is the career of J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover was head of the FBI for like 50 years. He was the first head of the FBI, and he was in that position, from the time he was like maybe 30 or something, until he died. And he was a horrible, horrible man. When I was a kid, he died in the early 70s sometime, and I was like a teenager, a young teenager, and I remember just the nation being just horrified at what came out after he died. The realization that this is a man who was, he held every president that he worked under in fear, because he was just, and because he was, he would get dirt on him and then he would hold it over him. And he also allowed the mafia to just kind of do whatever it wanted. Didn't go after them, but, any leftists he just wanted to get rid of. He was a psycho.
Of course. That's how we've always been, though. I mean, even today with this whole everybody for Ukraine and against Russia is just, to me, at least as a younger person, just the continuation of the 1970s, 1980s Red Scare, this anti-communist thing. They're just not saying anti-communism. They're just saying it's Russia's bad. That's all
Yeah.
it is. It's the same.
And Russia's not even communist anymore. You
No,
know,
they're so
it's a
capitalist.
kleptocracy, just like us.
Yeah, exactly. The actual like communist socialist countries we're actually kind of cool with, like Switzerland and the Netherlands and stuff like that. Like we don't have any problem with them. They're actually the nicest countries of the world. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're part of what our issue is with Russia is just the fact that there was a revolution and it succeeded for a while, or to some degree. The fact that the overlords were thrown out and it succeeded. The U.S. government is never going to let anybody get away with that stuff.
right.
And then on top
Are you
of
talking
it,
about the fall of the USSR?
I'm talking about even back with way back when when they overthrew the czar in
Oh,
1917.
okay. Yeah.
You know, they just, I mean, that was like just an example that is never gonna be forgiven.
No.
These
No.
people these neocons are crazy.
I know.
Anyway,
I know.
and I need to say, everything is my opinion, not
Of course.
any association I'm involved with.
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So,
All right.
so this is a great book, and
book.
it would actually be a great book club discussion if we ever do something like that. So.
I love book clubs. Those are my favorite. I want to get back into one. That'd be fun. Especially like a political book club. Some good discussions would be brought up in that for sure.
Yeah. This book would have a lot of good information to talk about. This is I was listening to this. I have it on audiobook, but I think I'm probably gonna get a hard copy of it just as a reference, because there's just so much information in here that's just incredible. Oh, and it also talks about the race riots that happened, and it's unbelievable. Like I said, the parallels are so similar. One of the things that happened as a result of us going to World War I is there were these people who formed what they called the American Patriot League. And this was during World War I. So this would have been 1917 and on. So anyway, part of the propaganda was turn in anybody who is a conscientious objector or who isn't, properly supporting, the war. And so the American Patriot League, it was, I think, kind of some loose association of, like local groups of men who basically went out looking for people that were like draft dodgers or were against the war, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they'd have them arrested or they'd beat the crap out of them. So anyway, after the war ended, a lot of these people ended up going into the Ku Klux Klan. And so they ended up terrorizing Blacks, Catholics, Jews, anybody else they didn't like.
Yep.
And so that's a great example of how violence abroad is brought here.
Of course. We love us some Nazis in America, apparently. So,
Well, Jimmy, I probably talked a lot. Oh no, we were going to do the game thing.
Oh yeah, no, I can save that for the Festivus thing for tonight for Warren, but I can ask you a couple questions if you want.
Oh, sure.
All right. Okay, we got a couple more minutes. Might as well have some fun with it. Okay, let's see. All right, audience, this is for you guys too if you want to sit around and answer this, answer these questions. Okay. What Christmas carol gets stuck in your head the most?
I think this year it's Here Comes Santa Claus.
Oh, nice. It's always going to be the Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Because every time I'm like obsessed with Halloween, and like while I'm still, like leeching off of the last few drops of happiness of Halloween the day after, everybody's just like throws Whitney or Mariah Carey just all over the place, and that song is just everywhere. So it just stays in my head all year. So, or at least during the Christmas season.
And she was one of the first of those really like big voice people,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
real diva, and
Yeah.
like these huge.
She was my idol growing
ranges.
up. I loved her. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to perm my hair because I wanted to look like Mariah Carey so bad.
Yeah,
it's bad. She was my idol. Now it's like, it's the voice. I love the loud voice that can hit those like squeaky upper tones, man. Like Ariana Grande can do that now. And I don't like Ariana Grande personally, but her voice is definitely an idol of mine for sure. You avoid Christmas music? No. All right, I'm with you there. Waitresses Christmas wrapping. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me.
Oh, and then there's of course the dog. What, the Jingle Bells is the dogs, the song with dogs barking. I think it's Jingle Bells.
Yep. Yep, I know. That shit's so funny. I did not want to be a diva. Okay, maybe a little bit. Divas are fun. Being a diva is fun. Now I just have a furry diva that is attached to my hip. Let's see what else. What would you be most offended to receive as a Christmas gift? That's a hard one.
Yeah. I suppose something about losing weight.
That would be fun.
It would be true.
Yeah, see, I would probably be mad about that too. Like, bro, what do you want me to do? Lose the 5 pounds left of skin I have on me? Jesus Christ. I'm like 110 pounds. You can't tell me to do that. I don't know what I would be mad. I don't think I've ever been mad about anything that I received as a Christmas present. No, there was one time growing up, my aunt thought that I was really into the little, the little yellow bird from the Looney Tunes. What's his name?
Oh, Tweety?
Yes. My aunt thought that I was obsessed with Tweety, and I was not at all. And so every Christmas and every birthday, she would always send me these Tweety Bird stuff, like blankets and pillows and shirts. And I'm just like, I don't like any of this at all. And I think it was just because I was watching like a marathon of that bird on Looney Tunes on a TV show one day when my aunt came over. So she thought that I was obsessed. And so I was so happy when I turned 18 and didn't get presents from her anymore. I was like, no, I can't do these Tweety Bird shit anymore. Is that why? Wait, Mariah is the biggest diva. Won't even. Yeah, no. J-Lo's a nobody. She's a phony. She's a phony. Do you hear that? You know who J-Lo is, right? Like all the stuff that goes on about her, like how she doesn't really sing her own music and stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, apparently she has like an audio person or a singer that sings for her. Well, recently we've been hearing is that she wants to go on stage and do a commemorative performance of the Whitney Houston songs. So this is going to be pretty funny to watch. I can't wait. I'm going to be laughing my ass off the whole time. You're going to hear her off sing. Like you're going to see and notice that she's lip syncing the whole thing. And it's her little backup dancer or backup singer behind stage with the real microphone. What's the most controversial Christmas opinion you have? You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't hate me, everyone. I'm going to get so much hate for this, but I am the parent that did not teach my kids that Santa was real. I feel so bad. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. My kids were just, I didn't like the whole fact of they could be bad all year long, and just the month of December they had to be good for this imaginary guy who's just going to end up giving them presents anyway. I wanted them to realize, like, they've got to be good. This is an all year thing. I watch them. I'm the one that's Santa. And now that they're old enough, now that they're finally old enough, I'm hoping, like, okay, now you get to do this with your kids. Like, teach your kids just to be good people, not just be good around Christmas time for some guy who's pretending to watch you.
Mhm.
Your parents are the people that love you and care about you and want to see you flourish in your life. And you're gonna get presents no matter what anyway. So just enjoy what the actual meaning of Christmas should mean, which is family, friends, love, coming together, spending time with with those people that are closest to you, and not have to worry about being Have for this dirty old man who lives up in the North Pole. I know I'm a monster. I'm a monster.
I wouldn't call that being a monster.
I know. I'm so bad.
My kids kind of picked up on Santa pretty early. I can't remember what happened. I think maybe somebody, I think
Yeah.
some kid in school said something.
It
So,
tortured me.
early on, I kind of said, well, yeah.
That hurt so bad when my mom told me that. I was really, really late finding out that Santa wasn't real. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old when I found out he wasn't real. And I had already gotten into fights in school with kids about Santa being real, and like arguments. Like, kids in school hated me because I believed in Santa and I swore up and down that he was real. And one year my mom told me he wasn't real, and it was so hard for me. Like, I was like, how dare you do this to me? Like, I literally have gotten into fights with kids at school over this. So I just told myself I wasn't going to do that to my kids. I didn't want them to believe in the tooth fairy. I didn't want all that. Yeah, they're still going to get money. Oh, you lost a tooth? Hell yeah, you just went through some cool ass stuff. Let's give you some money for that. That was work, things like that, instead of the whole imaginary thing where I'm going to have to tell them that it's not real in the future, and then it's going to ruin them forever like it did me. Oh, I couldn't do it.
Jimmy, you are Maureen O'Hara in Miracle on 34th Street.
Who was that?
Oh, have you seen that movie?
No, is that with the little blonde kid with the leg lantern and all of that?
Oh, no. This is oh, let's see. It was made in the 40s. It has Natalie Wood when she was a little kid, and she was like 5 or 6 or something. And Maureen O'Hara. Oh, this is a great. Oh, you gotta watch that movie sometime. Miracle on 34th Street. It's a wonderful movie. It's about a woman who's divorced. She's a single mother. She works at Macy's, and she has a good job at Macy's, but she's very bitter about the divorce, and so she doesn't believe in Santa Claus, and she teaches her little girl that there is no Santa Claus, and that she has to not believe in fairy tales and all this stuff, right? Yep. And because I was just looking at the left bones was laughing. Anyway, so anyway, there's this guy who appears at this Macy's parade one year when the guy who was supposed to be the Christmas Santa in the parade is drunk. So they hire this other guy. Jimmy ruins world.
They're attacking me in the comment section right now.
So anyway, this guy, his name is Kris Kringle, and of course he's like really the Santa, right? And so the movie is about this guy trying to prove that he really is Santa. He goes to work as the Santa in Macy's, and he can speak languages of kids from other countries, and he tells parents, oh, if you can't find your toys here, go over to Gimbals or go over here, and so so it becomes this big to do. This and Macy's and Gimbals was still around then, and so they have this, they have this show off where they're trying to out generous and they're trying to out generosity the others.
Nice.
Anyway, it's just a silly, cute movie, and of
So-
course, in the end, the guy actually is Santa, but so he. And his mission is to convince this Maureen O'Hara and the little girl, and so he's very happy at the end. So anyway, it's a very
now
cute
I'm gonna have to see it because if you're saying I'm like her, I definitely want to watch it now because I don't get to watch very many Christmassy movies where the parent doesn't believe in Santa, so that's awesome.
Well, there was a remake, but watch the original with Maureen O'Hara, and it's
Okay.
Natalie Wood was the most adorable little girl. Oh my
Aw.
god! So,
Okay.
yeah,
definitely.
Oh,
So
by
what
the
is
way,
a controversial Christmas opinion you have?
oh,
Still haven't figured one out.
you don't have to spend Christmas with family who drive you crazy.
Can you repeat that for the people in the back row like me?
You don't have to spend Christmas with people who drive you crazy.
I so don't want to, but I swear my sister gave me a call yesterday and she's like, you have to come. Just come for me. I was like, all right, look, I will go for you on Sunday, but you have to keep giving me this little eye thing that me and my sister always will for our whole lives, because we grew up pretty much together our whole lives because we're only a year apart. We can look at each other in the eyes and do little facial expressions, and it's like we're having whole conversations that my mom and my dad never knew about, so me and my sister can talk. We're like telepathetic with each other. It's really great. So I told her, I was like, look, I will go to this Christmas thing on Sunday with family and everything, but you got to be able to talk to me with your eyes during the whole fucking thing. Like anytime I look at you, you better be looking right at me, making sure we're talking, because I ain't dealing with this. I really don't want to go to Christmas with the family this year at all. I am dreading it.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was able to kind of get away from it because when I was in Iowa at graduate school, after a while it became too much of a hassle trying to go every winter. You got to go. I mean, every time you leave, you got to go through Chicago, and going through Chicago in the winter is not a pleasant experience,
Right.
Just because the weather's always terrible,
Right.
So anyway, so I just kind of got out of the habit of going home when I was in graduate school. So that was nice. That was convenient.
I'm waiting for our families to get a little bit older. I think that once me and my sister, our kids actually start having kids, maybe we can stop going to my mom's. I think it's like the grandparents is, at least in my family, the grandparents is the house you always go to no matter what. Mm-hmm. And then once they're passed, it's that family down. So now my mom is turned into the grandma, so we all have to go. Mm-hmm. And then once one of us turn into grandparents, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to be like, nah, I ain't going no more. I'm the grandma now. So you all come to me. So.
Well, I do have to say that, I know that it kind of deprived my kids of extended family gatherings and stuff, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, my kids don't. They get to see their cousins and stuff. Now, my aunt's kids and all of that, my cousins and stuff, no, they don't get to see any of them. But they pretty much disowned me years and years ago when they found out that I was a bikini dancer. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Screw you. I'm just going to have my own family without y'all. But my mom, my dad, my kids still go and see them. Look at Les Bones over here. She probably tells her kids that we have, I am offended by that comment because I do have McDonald's at home. So screw you, Les Bones. Why sit there and spend $30 on these nasty ass shitty hamburgers when you can make your own hamburger at home with everything on it that you want? Everything. I do want to get a hold of some Cane's chicken sauce for a burger. I think that would probably be the best. Have you ever had Cane's chicken before?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's so good. It's just like a regular KFC or anything else. They just have this sauce. It's like Thousand Island, but with tapatio and paprika in it or something. It's super spicy Thousand Island. I've never had it before. It's so delicious.
No, I never heard of that. Is that a West Coast thing? I've never heard of
Probably.
that.
Probably. Les Bones wants to know if you're one of those rare people that don't like ice cream.
Oh, are you kidding? I love ice cream.
Okay, good. Me
And
too.
I'm sure I have the arteries to prove it.
That's fucking right. Good afternoon, Steve. Good to see you. Jimmy. Oh, lose your teeth. Sorry, no tooth fairy and no money. That's not true. I still give them money. My kids would just come to me as like a bargaining tool. They're like, well, I lost this tooth last night, Mom. If you want to save this and keep this as a mom, I need some money. And I'm like, here's $5 for a fucking tooth. Now give me the tooth so I can put it away. Just no tooth fairy, no Easter bunny too. Like, what was the fucking point of that? Like, yeah, kids, go out and look for the eggs that the Easter bunny decided to pop out of its coochie hole overnight and hide them from you.
Yeah,
okay.
that whole Easter bunny thing. I never quite got that.
I can't. I told him that Santa and ice cream wasn't real. Yeah, right. My kids are very special. I actually thought that I was a horrible mom for a really long time because I would allow my kids to have one treat every night, no matter what. At the end of the night, they get a treat. So literally for 14 and a half years of my daughter's existence, she has had a treat every night of her life. And I'm like, so she's going to have to see the dentist a little bit more. I would have died to have a treat every night of my life. I had to be good that whole day just to even get a cookie at night or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, these kids can have. I let my kid yesterday wake up. What was it? Like, as soon as she woke up yesterday morning, she forgot that she had one of those, like, you get, like, from the ice cream truck, those little SpongeBob ice creams with, like, the gumballs in the eyes or whatever. She had a Spider-Man one. She woke up yesterday at 10:30 yesterday morning and ate a Spider-Man gumball ice cream. Okay? That's my kids. They do whatever they want. It's Christmas all year for them.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Even if it doesn't have Santa Claus.
Yeah, exactly. You got to, without all the fun and the fantasy and stuff, you've got to kind of make up for it and make them realize that they're not really missing out on it, anything by knowing that this imaginary person doesn't exist anyway. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, same with Jesus too, and same with God. I'm like, don't believe. Yeah, you can go to church with your grandma. Just remember that Sky Daddy is not real. It's just to teach you to be a good person. That's it.
Yeah.
Same with Christmas. Sky Daddy isn't real. Just teach you to be a good person.
Yeah.
So. I know. I'm gonna get so much hate one of these days for being the mom that doesn't do Christmas or Santa. I'm gonna get so much hate one day.
So, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm one of those parents that hate kids too. I'm just like, fuck them kids.
Yeah, I was never a big kid person myself. Right. Raising serial killers.
That's right. Serial killers, though, like the bowl of cereal. Because, yes, my kid can eat a whole fucking box of that shit dry. All right, we'll do one more question. What is your favorite holiday movie?
Christmas Carol, the 1951 version with Alistair Sim.
Ooh, that's an old version. Jeez. Mm-hmm.
Yep,
now,
that's
Christmas
my
Carol.
One.
That's the one with the little blonde kid with the glasses, right? In the 80s one?
No, that's Christmas Story. That's
Christmas Story.
That's Christmas Story, yeah.
Okay.
I actually haven't seen that movie.
I haven't either, but my husband loves it. He even has like the high heel nightstand lamp thing. Ridiculous.
No, this is the Scrooge thing. Actually, I think the movie is called Scrooge in Britain.
Oh yeah, Christmas Carol. Yes. With the 3 ghosts at night and all of that. Okay.
Yeah,
I was in the theater play for that. I would have to say my favorite Christmas movie, even though it's not really a Christmas movie, even though it kind of is a Christmas movie, is Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Always.
That's my daughter's favorite. She's like you. She loves Halloween. It's her favorite Halloween, and her favorite Christmas movie is that movie. I also really like Bad Santa, of course.
That's a
That's
funny one.
hysterical. And Fred Claus. I
Fred
really
Claus.
like that movie, Fred Claus. That's a really funny one.
I haven't seen that one. I never knew that what's his name? Toolman Taylor from what's his name that plays Santa Claus?
Oh, yeah. The
I always
Santa Claus.
Yeah, I never thought that he would ever do more than 1 or 2 films, because I remember back in the day when Toy Story was trying to make more feature films, he was like, no, I won't do more than 2. I'm done. You're just taking advantage. But now he's doing like all the Santa Clauses, all
Mhm.
like every one of them. So
Mhm.
wasn't
Yeah.
Fred Claus a part of it, one of them too, or was Fred Claus a
No.
completely different one?
No, it
Because
was a
Fred Claus
different
was
one.
the brother of Santa Claus.
Yeah. Vince Vaughn
Yeah.
played Fred Claus, and Rachel Weisz was his girlfriend, and then that one guy, I can't. He played John Adams. I can't remember his name. Paul Giamatti.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Christmas Vacation. Well, my husband's favorite movie is Steve said something like Christmas Vacation. My husband's favorite movie is Christmas Vacation. We always got to play that one.
Yep.
But Paul Giamatti plays Santa Claus, and then it was, let's see, what else?
It's so funny people go off about Die Hard. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie, or is Die Hard not a Christmas movie?
Well, I
That's
guess
the
it's,
biggest question.
yeah, I guess people would consider it one. There are people who do consider it one.
Absolutely
I don't
do.
really.
It's kind of like the battles of like the Trekkies versus the Star Wars guy. It's like Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's that same dichotomy of battling it out.
Yep.
Die Hard takes place at Christmas time. And see, that's why I always say like Nightmare Before Christmas is one, but it isn't one either, because it does take place at Christmas time, but Jack is trying to turn Christmas into his version of Christmas. So it's kind of like a Halloween Christmas. You know, the kids, when they open up their presents, they end up with like a decapitated head or like some, evil shot up duck or something like that instead of good Christmas presents. So it's kind of like, it's a Christmas movie, but it's like Halloween Christmassy. Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah. Well, it's very clever. It's very, very clever, and it's really original. So
Yeah. Tim Burton used to be amazing back in the 90s when he just let him get into his own hole of creativity and let him create things. Now it's just Disney throwing old movies at him and saying, remake this in your own way now. And that's it. Like, just ruined it. After, I won't even watch Dumbo. I won't even watch that new movie anymore.
Oh, really? I didn't know there was a new movie out with that.
Yeah, it came out like a year or 2 ago. It's a live action one, like a real, not cartoon, and it's Dumbo. And Tim Burton directed and produced it, and I just won't even watch it just because. I mean, I loved Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factories when he did those, and I loved the first Alice in Wonderland, but they just started giving him too much of the old movies to remake in his own version, and I just didn't like it anymore.
Yeah. Did he do the Grinch live action movie?
No Grinch. That would have been cool though. I would have loved to see Jim Carrey play in a movie that Tim Burton has created. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be really good. I heard they're doing like a evil Grinch this year, like a angry serial killer Grinch movie this year or something.
Oh my God.
Which would be really fun. But they're doing that with all kinds of movies too, like what is it? Winnie the Pooh. They've turned that into a horror film as well. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet are serial killers. They're just taking advantage of all of them. Tim Burton remade Deep Throat. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I've seen every Tim Burton movie and I don't even know what that is. You're a liar.
I didn't know there was a remake of Deep Throat.
Wait, what is Deep Throat? What is that?
Oh,
it's a real thing.
Deep Throat was a movie in the 70s, I think. I actually saw it in the movie theater when I turned 18.
Now you've got me curious what Deep Throat is.
It's a porn movie. And it had I think it was Linda Lovelace. Was that her name? Yeah.
I've never even heard of it.
It's about it was really like controversial at the time, because it's about a woman who likes to do oral sex.
Uh-huh.
That and that's
Well, obviously
anyway.
by the title of the film, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, Nixon with Watergate, that one source that they had that turned out to be Mark Felt. He went by, they called him Deep Throat. And so that made it even more famous. But yeah, it was a not early, but it was a big to do, that movie.
Oh my gosh. That's what I keep telling people, man. I keep telling my husband and other people, like, make politically controversial porn videos. You're going to go viral and you're going to make a lot of money doing it, but they won't. They won't touch that. They won't touch that at all. Nobody in the industry will touch that political controversy at all. They're scared because there's a huge divide in there, just like how America is, conservatives versus the liberals. And if you're a conservative and you work it with the liberals, then conservatives won't work with you in the industry and vice versa. So even you come out with something that's controversial, that's got, like, let's say Lowen Boebert lookalike doing a Donald Trump lookalike, or like a Nancy Pelosi doing a Donald Trump lookalike, you'd probably pretty much get yourself canceled in the industry nowadays, and it fucking sucks.
Wow.
I know. I've gone to a couple people like, you've got to do this. This is genius. You're going to make so much money. And they're like, I can't. I would be blacklisted throughout the entire industry if I did that. I'm like, you motherfucker, are you serious? So we're just going to have to do this, like, low balling, no money, no set, just fucking GoPro that shit, right? And we're like, yeah, you're pretty much gonna have to do it like that. Like, fuck. Okay, let's see if I can find some people to GoPro this shit.
Well, Extra Bulla says that Deep Throat was the Citizen Kane of the pornography world.
Interesting. I don't know. Wait, what is Citizen Kane?
Oh, haven't you seen that movie either?
I haven't seen so much.
Oh my God. Oh, Jimmy, you have so much to learn.
I do. That's what Warren tells me that every weekend. And same with Ed Heller, who works with Chicago Corner in Harlan's Media. He tells me the same thing. He's got, like,
well, you learn stuff.
Stacks.
So that's
exactly.
Fine.
Exactly. That's all that matters. All right. 1941 American drama. All right.
Yeah. It was Warren, not Warren, Orson
Welles.
Yeah. And the movie was like supposedly about William Randolph Hearst. And of course it was it actually was very controversial because William Randolph Hearst was still alive and he was not happy about the movie.
Oh.
And yeah, but it was interesting because and it was Orson Welles' first movie, and it was supposed to be considered one of the greatest movies ever made.
Okay. Right? Les Bones.
Just looking at some of the comments there.
Yeah, the Academy Award for Best Fellatio goes to. Oh, God.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I've got for questions. Okay, one more really quick. If you could ever have an elf name, what would you want it to be?
An elf name. What are elf names?
Anything. I don't know. I'm thinking of one too, and, like, the first thing that comes up in my mind is Juicy Rapper. That would be fun.
Oh, geez. I can't. Pinky.
Pinky? Oh, there you Pinky Bow, and your last name will be Bow. Pinky Bow.
Okay, Pinky Bow.
Because we're elves. We wrap presents and make presents and stuff. So you got to have, like, something with, like, Christmassy gift wrapping last name. So Pinky Bow. And then Juicy Rapper. Oh, God. Okay. I'm done. All right. So,
Jimmy, I have to say, I'm sorry. I don't have, believe it or not, I don't have a tacky Christmas sweater.
No.
So instead I wore the hat.
I love it.
And I wore some bulb
Christmas
earrings
lights earrings.
and a necklace.
I wore my sweater today, and then I decided I was going to stream outside, and it got too cold, so I took off my sweater. But I do have, wait, nope, that's not it. Wait, I got like double clothes on. I got my ugly Christmas sweater on today. It's so disgusting. It's my actual ugly one, because you get those really cool light up ones with all like the really neat stuff, and I call them ugly sweaters, but those are really awesome sweaters. This is like my legit ugly sweater. So
well,
okay.
listen, Jimmy, I hope you have a wonderful a wonderful Christmas, and I will no doubt be in touch with you sometime after that.
Of course.
And Merry Christmas to everyone who is one of our KRTD audience members.
Are you going to be joining us for the New Year's Eve thing, all day stream? Okay, yes, you are going to be there.
Yeah, I'm of course going to be on an inflation panel.
Of course. Do you know what time slot you've got for that?
I think I'm at 8:00
p.m.
Wait, 8 is 8? Maybe. Oh no, maybe I'm 10. Maybe it's 10
p.m.
I think it might be 10 p.m. Yeah.
Ooh, a nighttime inflation discussion. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to flash you. I didn't know. I'm wearing a tank top, okay? It's a fucking tank top. I got a tank top on. See? It's a tank top underneath. Leave me alone, you guys. Okay, so you're going to be 10 p.m. on, that's next Saturday, right, for our New Year's Eve all-day stream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 10 p.m. Anything else you got going on?
Nope, not really. Nope. But I do want to, I want to do some, I'd like to start working on like maybe a radical reading list for KRTD and do some things like that. So
that would be cool.
Anyway,
I know it's just the only hard thing is trying to afford all the books. Now, if there was a way that we could get the books where we can all read it, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part.
Well, one thing is there are some books that are no longer in copyrighted, and so like marks and stuff like that we can get access to.
Okay.
I've been thinking about whether or not there's a way we can I don't know, try to find some way of maybe a library, some kind of library thing. But anyway, I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but it would be nice to be able to have access to a lot of the readings. And certainly we can do that with many of the out of copyright books.
Cool. That would be great to start that would be really good to start a radical reading group is have it like at least just start out with the books being free. Like how radical could that be? Giving people, letting people free stuff.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Les Bone's telling me to stop stripping. All right. No more stripping. Sorry, y'all, for making y'all blind. So this, okay, let me put up the graphic really quick. This coming up next week, we've got the New Year's Eve all-day stream hosted by Hardlands Media, Chicago Corner, Sabby Sabs, and us. And then let me bring this up really quick as well. Tonight, you guys, don't forget, well, not tonight, but I guess tonight, if you're on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, so afternoon for us West Coasters. We've got here it is, the Festivus for the rest of us tonight. So
that'll be fun.
Yep. So we're going to have a bunch of people on here, bringing in panels of whoever wants to join. I know Warren's invited a bunch of really awesome people to come and join with us. So this is the picture. Remember to turn the notification on. Get ready. He's even in the description says, I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear it. So this is tonight. So in about 3.5 hours it's going to be on. And then tomorrow night we've got mine and Warren's secret show. I think we're going to be doing some kind of Christmas thing, so be sure to wear your ugly sweaters there as well. What's coming on over here at KRTD? I think this weekend we've got Amber's probably going. I believe Amber is releasing a few videos. Let me go on to StreamYard and look. She's got a couple of them already waiting. So Patrick Lovell's Truth Bomb is going to be coming out tomorrow. And then later on today at 3 p.m. Pacific time is going to be another KRTD Media Chat clip with me and the creator of Panquake, John Kiriakou. She's been clipping that up. She's going to be releasing one of those clips today. The Patrick Lovell's Truth Bomb will be released tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. And then I think on Sunday will most likely be, or Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure which one yet. I'll have to ask him. But Willie Bragg's show is going to be doing a show with us this weekend as well. And then you guys will see me back on Monday again, too. I think that's about all we've got.
Okay. Next Friday would be my normal every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you want me to come on next Friday, I certainly can. So
okay. I'm down. I'm totally down. All right, cool. So then next Friday, Sherry's going to be coming on here as well. So you're going to be having 2 days of streaming. Look at you.
Yeah. YouTube star.
Exactly. Lesbone says your earrings run on the power of socialism.
That's right. I love it.
That's so awesome. That's so cool. All right. I think that's it for all of us. I want to thank you guys all for coming. Warren, Lesbones, Amber, John, Steve, anybody else I forgot? Probably Holly, Brandy. I know Brandy was up in here as well.
I think
Yona.
Yeah.
Hey.
John Kemper.
John, thank you, John, for showing up. And then I see you, Sherry, up at the top. Be there soon. Okay. Yep. That's everybody for today. Lana, thank you for stopping by over on the Facebook. That's really awesome of you. Truly appreciate you. Universities don't have to change or charge me thousands of dollars to hear Sherry talk. Exactly. Thank you, Warren. Happy Festivus, and we will be seeing you later on today. You got any parting sayings?
Let me just say this. When you read history, sometimes it's discouraging because sometimes you feel like, ugh, is there ever going to be progress? But at the same time, the fact is we've lived through shitty times like this before. Now, of course, we have climate change. That's a completely different thing. But, we just got to keep trying to work at it. I think one of the things that happened in my generation is I think we had it really good, and we didn't understand that it wasn't going to last forever, and so we let our guard down. And I think the lesson of the baby boomers maybe should be, don't ever let your guard down, because sadly, class war is just never going to go away.
Yep.
And so, we can't take it for granted that people at the top are going to take care of us.
Right.
We have to be able to take care of ourselves, and that means taking control of the government.
Yep.
In a way that makes it work for the people.
Yep, I agree. And that's why I like to say, get mad, get organized, and stay empathetic.
So, sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We will see you all later on today and next week. I hope you guys all have a good holiday. Whatever it is you celebrate, I hope it is amazing and no drama and loving and caring and happy. And I hope to see you all again next week. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.